welcome to this week's video. I've got a group of students here who've had an amazing experience over the half-term break because they were at the ECIS Multilingualism conference, which is, well, that's the biggest school conference in the world about multilingualism, and they were presenting about the Research Institute. So they were talking to teachers from around the world and academics, and they got amazing feedback from that conference. So we thought it's a perfect time for them to tell us about the Research Institute, to give information about what it does and also their experiences at the conference. So we have Marina, William, Noah and Asad, and in turn they're just going to tell us a little bit about their experiences, starting with Asad. So Asad, you're going to tell us about the Research Institute. So yeah, tell us about the Research Institute.
Okay, so I'm just going to give a general overview of the Research Institute. And the Research Institute is a sort of a club that's been running for quite a few years here at ISL for MYP students, where you get the opportunity to engage in sort of academic research scaffolded by teachers to make the process easier. Of course, the research is collaborative, so you work with other students in this club. And for the past 2 years we were working on this project which we have just presented a few days ago at the conference. So Marina will tell you about the topic of that project.
I'm just going to add, Asad, that so that people understand, it's not just teachers here, we also work with university mentors from the University of Bristol.
Yes.
Who comes and helps to ensure that the academic level is at basically university level.
Yes, to an extent.
Yes. Marina.
So I will talk about the topic and how we chose it. So when we all joined the Research Institute, we have decided that we're gonna study something about multilingualism, and we started by creating a set of questions that we would like to research on, and we did a lot of activities to funnel them down, and finally we have decided on the area that we want to study. We also engaged in discussions with our academic mentor, Dr. Bob, who told us to create our social network diagrams, and we also looked at the literature about foreign language learning anxiety, which then helped us to decide on our research question, which finally came out to be: do international school students' multilingual social networks affect their language learning anxiety? And I will pass on to William, who will talk about ECIS conference.
So you can see, just before we get to William, you can see that it's a very specific research question, and that you could actually get some real data about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which you did. I don't know if anyone's going to talk later. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the data and how you collected it and how you analysed it? Oh, is that what you're going to talk about in a minute, Noah?
I did the data part.
Oh, okay. You'll say a little bit about data.
So from the data, we learned a lot about the research process and about collecting data. And despite only receiving 17 responses, we still received a lot of data from which we were able to draw up many conclusions and also answer questions that were outside the research question. In terms of the research question, there was no correlation between international students' multilingual social networks and their language learning anxiety. But quite interestingly, we did discover that in order for a student to speak, or if a student speaks with more people in their mother tongue, it will not affect their language learning anxiety in either English or language acquisition. This was quite interesting, as it was a bit counterintuitive.
Now, can you tell us a little bit how you analyse data?
Well, once we collected our data, we had to code it on Excel by placing yes and no questions with ones and zeros. Once, so that we could use statistical analysis techniques. Then we gave our data to our academic mentor, Dr. Rob, who put it through SPSS, which is statistical analysis software, so we could obtain or generate data.
Right, so, and that's really important to see that when they're doing this process, they really are doing proper data analysis at an academic level that they're then used to generate real statistics. And data coding, learning data coding in middle school is a great skill, because that's proper research. So we've gone round about. William, you're going to tell us about the conference.
Right, so we went to the ECIS Multilingualism in Education conference, where we presented to many researchers and linguistic professionals such as professors, analyzers, and
teachers.
Yes, and teachers too. And so there were a couple hundred people at the conference, and we presented to about 30 or so, and we got very good feedback from the presentation, as you mentioned before. And yeah, that was everything about the conference.
Actually, got amazing feedback. There are lots of schools that now want to work with us because of your presentation, because they were so impressed, and very, very impressed. In fact, some people have said they wish they had, who've been at a couple of other workshops, wish they'd been at yours because the feedback was so impressive. No, we come around. Did you want to add anything else? We can talk about data or...
I was going to talk about, or I was going to reflect on the conference. To start, this was a very enlightening experience because we learned a lot about how conferences work, especially official ones like this one, as they're incredibly social, as well as we got to see a lot of other presentations and learn more about how to present, how to engage our audience, and we even learned more about language, such as translanguaging, which is new, or not quite new, but something that's becoming popularized due to its usefulness in the classroom and to help students learn.
So there you go. So there's the introduction both to the Research Institute and also the experience that students had at the conference. I don't know, does anyone want to add anything? Or you've covered, I think, the topics you wanted to cover. So yeah, there's a really good sense, and I just want to finish by congratulating the students because honestly the feedback has been overwhelming. They made such a great impression, and a lot of people were just so surprised that middle grade students could do research at that level. So thanks very much for this week's video. I look forward to seeing you next week.